Hey, what's up you guys? It's Anania and I have a diagnosis. Let's get into it. So if you guys saw my very first video on this channel, it was called The Search for a Diagnosis Part 1. Nothing ever good comes of it, and it's just not a whole lot of fun. And as you can tell from the title, I have a diagnosis. As you saw in the title, it is a disease called ankylosing spondylitis. Basically, ankylosing spondylitis is an inflammatory disease that can over time cause some of the small bones in your spine, which is the vertebrae, to fuse. Oftentimes it affects men more than it does women, and signs typically occur in early adulthood. Inflammation can also occur in other parts of your body, such as your eyes and your hands and just other joints in general. It's also not always the easiest to diagnose. It is often misdiagnosed as something else, or a lot of times doctors don't realize that the back pain that the patient is talking about is actually from your SI joints, which is your sacroiliac joints. And that is where a lot of my inflammation is. I see a rheumatologist, and this is where I got my diagnosis from. He did a lot of blood work and everything came back normal, which was very frustrating at first because I figured that's where he would stop and he wouldn't keep digging. But I got lucky, and he's an excellent doctor, and he said, there's clearly something going on here. Let's do some other tests. So I went ahead and got some x-rays done of my hands and as well as my hips. And then I got an MRI of my hips, which more specifically the sacroiliac joints. And there's a lot of inflammation in there, and my sacroiliac joints are starting to fuse. So over time it causes a lot of pain and inflammation. It's really hard to do a lot of things with my back especially. So once I got that diagnosis, my doctor said, let's go ahead and start you on immunosuppressants. I know that seems really big and scary, and especially in the times right now, so I don't leave the house very much because of that, but I do self-injections monthly, which means basically I stab myself with a needle and inject the medicine myself. So ankylosing spondylitis, while it is an inflammatory disease, it also coincides with autoimmune disorders. And basically that means my immune system is overactive and tends to attack my body. So while we did figure out that I have ankylosing spondylitis and I am being treated for that, there are still some symptoms that I have that don't match up with ankylosing spondylitis. So while I do have a diagnosis, we're still searching for another one. Most times when you have one disorder, you tend to have another. That's kind of just how it goes with autoimmune issues. So I have been on immunosuppressants for about 2 months now, and I haven't noticed any difference. It can take up to 3 months to take effect. So I'm hoping that it helps soon. As for my other symptoms, well, as you know, I had and have a lot of skin issues, and we're still not sure what's causing it. So our next step is to go ahead and do a skin biopsy. At my last doctor's visit, they did another blood panel, and they called me back and said, oh, it shows that, you know, you might have some sort of allergy. Why don't we try you just taking Benadryl? Now, I wish it were that simple. However, I take Benadryl almost daily because basically daily I get hives and swelling and inflammation and itching all over my body. So I have to take something to help relieve it. So I told the nurse's assistant that, and she said, oh, okay, well, you're definitely going to get a skin biopsy to hopefully figure out what's causing the issue. And I am really hoping that the skin biopsy will figure it out. Basically what they're going to do with my skin biopsy, it's called a punch biopsy, and they take a little punch thing. I don't know what the tool looks like. I'll look it up and I'll include it. But they take a little punch of your skin and it's like a little circle. Not enough to need a suture or anything, but they take the first few layers of skin and they put it under a microscope and they try and figure out what is causing the issues. So a number of things could be going on. It could solely be an allergy. And if that's the case, then I'll probably have to go to an allergist to figure out what's going on there. And that'll be a whole bunch of more testing. And when I said this was going to be a long journey, I meant it. And it's been my issues have been going on for years now, and only now a doctor has started to listen to me. So I'm hopeful, but at the same time very, very frustrated. So I'm going to re-answer some of the questions that I did in the chronic illness tag. Now that I have at least one diagnosis, I can answer a little bit better. All right, so one of the first questions is, what are you diagnosed with? And obviously I answered that already. That is ankylosing spondylitis. Granted, we are still searching for another diagnosis to hopefully make sense of all of the other symptoms that I'm having. When it comes to having an autoimmune disorder or any sort of chronic illness, sleep problems tend to arise. And I have a hard time going to sleep fairly often. Now, I don't really do anything necessarily when I can't sleep. I kind of just lay there, or I'm on my phone, or I'm watching a movie or TV or something, because I really am just trying to go to sleep. Most times that doesn't end up happening and I kind of just lay there all night. What is the worst side effect you've had from a medication? Now, I've been on many different medications and they all cause different side effects. Recently, or somewhat recently in the past few months, I have been on prednisone, which I'm supposed to be on again fairly soon. It made me have what they call moon face. So it makes your face swell and you look very round and you look like a moon. And I did not enjoy that because I hated how I looked. And if you go back to my videos where I was on it, you can probably tell when I was taking prednisone, because my face was very round. And it wasn't just because I gained weight. My face was round because of the medication I was on. Another terrible side effect of some medications is dry mouth or sweating. What else? What is another side effect that I really don't like? Oh, another side effect that I have had, I don't remember the medication that caused it, but it was extreme jitteriness. Like, I was physically shaking all the time, and I felt like I was shaking and I couldn't stop moving, and I hated it. It's like restless leg syndrome on steroids, because it wasn't just my legs, it was my entire body, and I could not handle it because it ended up hurting. Like, my muscles it felt very overactive and tired, and it was just not fun. How has your condition affected your mental health? Now, to be perfectly honest, it's affected it a great deal. I have suffered for a very long time with depression and anxiety, as well as PTSD. So I already had those mental health problems beforehand. So adding this illness on top isn't helpful. I've had a hard time with image issues because of my skin, as well as the gaining and losing weight constantly. And I have some spots on my head where my hair has been falling out, and you know, it causes a lot of insecurity, and it really does affect things. As well as recently I've been having a hard time with feeling useless. When my flare-ups are really bad, I have a hard time doing a whole lot. I don't have a whole lot of energy. I just want to sleep. Never do sleep, but I just want to sleep, and I just feel unwell. As well as, you know, the skin issues, the itching, the constant itching and the burning and everything else. It's not a good combination for your mental health. It takes a huge toll, honestly. Not everyone understands that. Not everyone is going to understand that. And so it can get incredibly lonely sometimes. valuable lesson you've learned from being ill. Pick and choose your friends wisely. Not everybody is going to stick around. I've had a lot of issues with friends who turn out not to actually be friends. I've had a lot of people claim that I am pretending to be sick, that I just want the attention, or that I'm lazy, or, you know, there's a number of things that I've had people claim me to be because of my inability to do certain things. And that can get really hard sometimes. So really, you have to pick and choose your friends very, very carefully. Only your true friends will be there for you no matter what. And that includes getting sick. And I'm very, very fortunate to have an amazing husband who does absolutely everything in his power to help me. He always makes sure that I'm taken care of. And that's something that you really should strive for in your friendships, in your family relationships, and in your relationship with your partner. Truly, that is one of the biggest lessons that I have learned through being sick. So basically, things that I am doing differently now to hopefully lessen the progression of my ankylosing spondylitis is I've been doing yoga. I have been trying to eat a lot healthier. I drink a lot of water, and I am on immunosuppressants, which hopefully will suppress my immune system enough to prevent it from causing more damage. I also take prescription strength anti-inflammatories, which I don't really notice a whole lot of difference from either of the medications that I'm taking, but I'm not willing to stop them because I can almost guarantee that there's enough difference that if I were to stop, I would be impacted greatly. So even though I have a diagnosis, this is not the end of the series. There will be at least one more video going over the news that I find out after my skin biopsy and hopefully getting another diagnosis. Not that I want another illness or diagnosis, I don't want anyone to think that, but because there are a lot of symptoms that just don't match up with ankylosing spondylitis, there is clearly something else going on. So I am still on this journey and I hope you will still come with me. That's it. This was a short video and that's essentially all that I had to say about it. I hope that you guys enjoyed it regardless, and thank you for being here and supporting me. If you have any questions about my AS or anything else that I'm going through, be sure to leave a comment down below and I will make sure to reply. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like the video as well as subscribe and hit the little notification bell so you can get a notification every time I upload a new video. To all my fellow Spoonies out there, I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope the good days come soon. And I hope for all of those who are still searching for a diagnosis that you get one soon. I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.